Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing a screen replacement on an iPhone SE 2020. So let's switch to the other cam and go ahead and get started. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is remove the two pentalobe screws from the bottom. And then I like to start, there's a notch in this screen underneath on the side where the home button is. If you hold it in your hand oriented, it's the side opposite your thumb if it's in your left hand. So we're just going to get in right here. I like to round the edge of my tool and sharpen it with a honing stone to make it easier to get under the frame of the screen and also to slice through the adhesive. Once you have this corner off, I like to put this in and then turn it to apply pressure to pop the frame out of the clips that it's in, and then just continue to slice the adhesive. And once we get to about here on the phone, we'll go back and then start going down the other side the same way. Now once we have this adhesive sliced on the bottom and both sides, I like to take and put my thumb on the bottom frame of the phone and my finger on the top frame, and I'll push with my thumb and pull with my finger to create just a slight gap here on the top of the screen so I can get my tool inside of here. Once my tool's inside of there, you will pry it forward and slice at the same time. And what that's going to do is going to cut this adhesive, but also there's two little hooks that kind of slide under the frame just a tiny bit, and you just want to pop them up out of their place and then slice the adhesive around this corner. So now once we have this, we're going to orient the home button so it's towards our right hand, and then we'll open the phone away from us. And then I will use something to kickstand the phone generally so I can work with both of my hands. So this is going to be all Phillips head screws for this repair. So we're going to start by disconnecting the proximity sensor, ear speaker, and microphone assembly, or front camera assembly rather. Also a microphone in there, I believe. We're going to take the plate off of here, but not disconnect anything. We're just taking plates off because we want to disconnect the battery before we remove any connections from the board. We want to keep these screws organized in a way that they go back in the phone exactly how we took them out, because if you put a long screw into a short hole, it will cause damage on the logic board that will need micro soldering to repair. So now that we have the phone open and the plates off, we're going to disconnect the battery, which is this connector right here. It's the second one from the right on the bottom. So now that the battery is disconnected, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the screen and the digitizer, and then we're going to fold the screen back down and we're going to bring it down. This flex is a U shape, so it's meant to be bent like this. We're going to disconnect it, and then now the screen is liberated from the housing. Move our kickstand temporarily for more workspace. And now we're going to remove the home button and the loudspeaker, ear speaker, microphone, front camera assembly from the screen. It's going to be all Phillips screws for the the ear speaker and camera assembly, and then all Y for the home button. So we're just going to fold the front camera back now that we have that plate off of there, and we're going to take off the ear speaker and set it to the side. Now we want to grab sharp tweezers, and we want to carefully dig underneath of the proximity sensor flex assembly right here, and slowly and carefully pry up, and you'll hear the adhesive. You don't want to break this. You just slowly pry it up. There we are. Sorry for my hand being in the way. Now what I like to do for this part here with the ear speaker contact pads on it is just dig my tweezer underneath of it and get into the holes where the alignment tabs are, and then just peel up on those holes until they're seated off of the board. And then you want to dig under on the left side and just pry up to get the microphone free, which is going to be connected right here. And you can see there's about that much adhesive by about that much adhesive. So now that we have that off, we're going to start on the home button. So this is going to be 4 Y screws. Now you want to be very careful with these home buttons because they're paired to the phone. So if you damage the home button in any type of way, your Touch ID will just be broken forever. Okay, so now that we have the bracket off of the home button, just going to use our tool and we're going to put it in between here and the frame. We're going to twist it to disconnect the home button from the flex assembly. So now that that's disconnected, we can fold that back and push that down so they're the opposite direction. Now what I like to do is the same way that I did with the ear speaker assembly. I will get the tweezers, I will actually dig them a little bit into the frame of the phone so I can get underneath of the flex of the home button where it sits on this little nipple that comes off of the screen to align it, so I can get my tweezers into the hole. And then once I have my tweezers in the hole, I just use the leverage to pull up on it very slowly until it is freed from the frame. Just the adhesive is freed from the frame. And now this home button goes forward through the screen, so we'll actually push it from the back and then just let it drop out. So now that that is liberated from the screen, let's go ahead and grab our new screen. And remove our protective plate and our little stopper for the pentalobe screw holes. Oh. So we want to, I'm going to put my finger through this little hole and fold back the protective film, just the home button size. And then what I like to do is I'm going to take the home button in my hand, I'm going to orient it how it will go in the screen. I'm going to fold this tab back and then put this through the hole and then line it up, and then it's going to line up onto this little nipple on the board. Once that's lined up, you can press it in and then connect it, and it's in there. Okay, so now that the home button is back in, we'll go ahead and put the home button bracket back on and replace the Y screws. Alright, perfect. Now we're back to the Phillips. So what we're going to do is use our tweezers to remove the cover for the little bit of adhesive for the proximity and front camera. We're going to use the little nipples sticking out of the screen to align the holes in the pads and then push those down so the adhesive sticks right here. Align those on those little nipples. Perfect. And then we're going to use that alignment. We'll fold this camera back and we'll just use that alignment to press this down into the little holes. And you can kind of move them around with your finger and you'll feel them slot into their little space. And you may even hear it like click. It doesn't necessarily click, but you can certainly feel it. Once they're in there, you want to grab the ear speaker with the front camera folded back, just put it over and then fold the front camera back down and push it into its place, and then just hold this with your finger. We're going to replace the bracket onto here and then hold that with your finger, and now we're just going to start putting back in these Phillips screws in the order that we took them out, or rather just back into the holes that they came from, more importantly. Okay, so now that that bracket is back on, go ahead and grab the rest of the phone back. Now we're going to take this flex that folds, we're going to kind of pull it back up and then set the screen back on there. We want to line this up with our finger and then just click it into place. Click it right into place. You'll feel it click into place and probably hear it, and I'm just going to use this right now in this place to put this plate back on. So let's go ahead and get these Phillips screws back in here. Get some more magnet on my screwdriver. These screws near the rear camera and stuff are often not very magnetic to the screwdriver because of their proximity to the compass stuff, I believe. So we just want to now reconnect the digitizer and the LCD flex cables and then the battery, and then we'll replace the connector or the plate back on the board and then put the screws back into this guy. Okay, let's get these screws back in this plate. Perfect, those are all back in. So now, I'm just gonna start with the top, put the top in first, and then just carefully slot in the sides. Try to go evenly. Sometimes you'll run into an issue where you just gotta pop in the frame to the frame of the phone to the frame of the frame of the screen to the frame of the phone. But then just I like to work it all in evenly, squeeze the whole thing. Fits right into place. Now I'll put the pentalobes back in and then test this bad boy. So, any luck, there we are, we have an apple. Hard to see, but it is there. I'm going to leave this protective cover on for the customer to remove, or for me to remove when I give it to them. Alright, it works. Perfect. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to another video. Tune in next time. Have a great one. Like and subscribe.